Hey guys, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. Nigeria Oluwagbemi, welcome. It's been a while. How you
Thank you.
doing?
I'm getting there. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now let's get started.
Yeah.
Please confirm to me that the CNG buses and tricycles will be launched before May 29. I saw what Mr. Bayo Ononuga put on X,
Yeah.
formerly Twitter. Please confirm.
Yeah. It's confirmed. We'll be getting delivery of the first batches of equipment assets that was ordered by the Ministry of Finance in the next couple of weeks. We will be having a lot of assembly. Almost everything is actually going to be, in terms of the vehicles now, will be assembled in Nigeria. The conversion centers that will actually utilize those conversion kits that were also ordered are currently either being constructed already
sorry,
live.
let me get you.
Yeah.
We are not having the complete vehicles come.
No,
We're having the parts, so it will be coupled here in
it will be
Nigeria.
coupled in Nigeria because that is the easiest and fastest way to actually get them. So if we were getting full vehicles, it would probably take us about 12 months to have any vehicle in Nigeria, which would have been maybe end of the year to early next year.
So
having it assembled here ensures that we get it in here faster. Within a week, as soon as they start arriving, they will start getting coupled and they will start rolling off the assembly line, ready to be used. So
what will the president launch? What will he launch? The complete cars or buses that will be coupled.
So
here in the
what
country?
we'll be launching on May 29th itself, and I'll be addressing a national press conference, will be the conversion incentive program. That is actually what gets us where we need to be. The conversion program will ensure that we have 1 million natural gas vehicles on the road by year 2027. And part of the equipment we're also expecting through the order of the Ministry of Finance are the conversion kits, the cylinders, that is necessary to implement this. We already have registered more than 85 conversion centers today. I expect that number to be closer to 100 by May 29. And working with our partners at the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, RTAN, as well as the NARTO, that is the National Association of Road Transport Owners, we'll be identifying critical commercial buses that want and are able to be converted. And that operation will start on May 29 across the country. In addition to that, we also have a program for ride shares. So there will have a program for Uber and Bolt drivers that want to also convert to natural gas vehicle. That will also be launched on May. They'll be able to drive into, based on the pre-qualification program that we have, they'll be able to have that. Of course, the assembly of those platforms I speak about will start even before May 29, and some of those assets will start getting rolled out before May 29 itself. So it's a continuous thing. It's not as if you're just going to bring 5,000 platforms overnight and boom, they'll be everywhere. It's we are doing it's an organic program. It's not one that is just oh, you have 20 cars, take it over there. No. These are being run by mass transit operators. They will deploy those assets as soon as they have them, as soon as they're ready, and that work starts before May 29.
So which company or which companies are involved in coupling these equipment when they come to make it complete?
Yeah, they're the ones. They're the ones that were mentioned in the press release by Mr. Ononuga. I believe there are 4 Nigerian companies involved in this activity, and there's also actually 3 Nigerian companies involved on the tricycle side, making a total of 7. But the tricycle operation is actually being coupled at one location because of obvious reasons, because for efficiency. So they will be coupling these vehicles, either the EVs or the CNG or the tricycles, at 5 sites across the country. I believe there's Jets, there's Meccano, there's Brilliant EVs, and there's also, I believe, Kojo Motors, located in Onitsha, among many others that will be involved in this operation. But these companies are automobile companies. They've been part of the Nigerian ecosystem, producing buses for most of our commercial operators, including GIG Motors, for the last 20 years. So these are part of the Nigerian Automotive Design and Development Council ecosystem that is constantly building cars. And so we are confident, number one, that they have the capacity to deliver. And expertise. Absolutely. And by mid-May, we'll be having factory tours. I invite you on them because you're going to see them doing their work. Again, this is about creating jobs for Nigerians too. I mean, it's not about us just bringing a whole bus from China or a bus from India, and those jobs created in those countries, and then we just use it. We want to make sure that we also use this program as a leverage for industrialization.
For creating jobs,
Yeah.
because I was actually also wondering, at what point did the initiative change its strategy?
No, from day one.
Has it been like that from day one
From day
in terms
one,
of bringing the parts
Yeah.
from abroad and
Yeah.
coupling them here?
Yeah, from day one. For us, it's about gradual. I mean, everything is progressive elaboration. So, but the first point is that we already have capacity in country to assemble vehicles. So we never thought that it was a good idea to buy wholesale vehicles. And then number one, it's more bulky to ship a complete vehicle. So it's going to take you more port time. It's going to take you more time to put those vehicles together. And even in terms of certification, because they will need to be certified overseas and then recertified in Nigeria. So it's better for them to be all certified in Nigeria after being coupled by our own standards organizations and regulatory agencies. So it's just from a pure logistics and strategy point of view, it was much better for us to have those vehicles assembled in Nigeria. No vehicle anywhere in the world today is completely 100% manufactured anywhere, right? As it were, even the components of the compressed natural gas components of these vehicles will be manufactured in Nigeria. For example, the steel plates, on which this will rest, the steel tubing and a lot of those stuff will take place in Nigeria. It might be 5% of the total vehicle component, but it's something. And then our hope is gradually over the subsequent years as we support the industry, because I keep telling everybody, this 100 billion investment by the Federal Ministry of Finance is only down payment by the government for energy transition for the transportation sector. It is not, the government does not expect to play the only role or even majority of the role. We expect the private sector to ultimately lead.
And that 100 billion
very,
will likely come like as a grant, as it were, because it's not, that's to see the initiative take off. Because it's not, I'm wondering how government will even get its money back. Perhaps in terms of encouraging the private sector to come in.
So the 100 billion mostly have been spent by the Ministry of Finance to acquire the assets.
Yes, I know.
Our work as the initiative is to distribute and finance on lend that asset to ensure that we can recoup some of that money and then recycle it, right? But of course, we have to do so on concessionary terms. The President on July 31st announced that this will be the case when he made his palliative speech. The idea is that the assets will be onboarded by those people who are already in the transport business. They will enjoy the competitive advantage of lower cost fuel. They pass on some of those savings to the public and consumers, but it can also allow them to pay back the cost of those assets back faster to the government through the development banks we're going to work with. And then that ultimately allows government to be able to recycle that more probably into different strategies for getting Nigeria more natural gas vehicles, including conversions. I think for us, about a quarter of the spending by Ministry of Finance has been on conversion kits, and maybe another quarter on tricycles and half of the money on buses. And you can see that while buses probably deliver 10% of the total asset class, conversion is, even though the spending was only 25%, is delivering about 75% of what we expect to be the result in natural gas vehicles from that. So the more effective use of the funds, as far as we are concerned from the government side, is that we should encourage conversions. Nigerians already have 12.5 million to 12.75 million vehicles. About 5.75 million of that is commercial vehicles. About 400,000 of them are buses. If we're able to just convert 1 million vehicles in the next 4 years, we can have $2.5 billion of savings, assuming we have 6 million liters of petrol PMS replaced. So this is savings from a point of view of our forex reserve and the impact on importing petrol, and the fact that gas is local, gas is cleaner, gas is cheaper, the gas is reliable, gas is safer. So it just does not make any sense why Nigeria should continue to expend so much money even on either petrol importation, even if there's no subsidy. It doesn't make any sense for us why we're using that petrol, even if we're refining it. We're better off exporting it and using cheaper natural gas to drive our country.
The question is, how many conversion workshops and refueling sites do we have right now across the country? Because if the president is going to do this on May 29, or at least to see some kind of activity before May 29, it's reasonable that we have a few conversion workshops as well as refilling sites. I know that you've also been working with NIPCO and some other partners, but how many of those do we have right now in the country, and what is the projection, perhaps till the end of the year?
Yes, so currently, when we first started this program, there were maybe 7 of them in December of last year.
Where? In Abuja?
Yeah, they were scattered across the country, but today we've certified about 85, and we expect to have over 100 by May 29. And
when you say scattered, what do you mean by scattered? Because there are some states that would not have.
Yeah, so in terms of refueling sites, in Nigeria today will have capacity to refuel in 23 states of 37 states of the Federation because of the limitation of gas transportation today. We expect that by the time AKK gas pipeline is completed at the end of next year, then most of the parts of the country, maybe 30 to 35 states, will be able to have CNG refueling capacity. So today, we have refueling capacity in at least 12 states today. Either going to already existing or should be live by May 29. We're constantly following up.
A few of those states, Abuja, of course,
we
Abuja
have
City, Lagos.
all, as it were, almost all the southern states have capacity. It's different from whether they actually have an active refueling site. But Lagos has active refueling sites. Ogun State has active refueling sites. Ibadan does. We just launched 2 of them in Ibadan 2 weeks ago with Bovas. Bovas is installing, by the way, 8 sites in Ibadan, 4 sites in Ilorin, that's in Kwara State, 2 sites in Ekiti, and 2 sites in FCT. Kogi has refueling sites. We have refueling sites in Enugu, as well as in Aba, as well as Uyo. Port Harcourt, we have refueling sites. Onitsha, we have refueling sites. We have refueling sites in Delta. Edo, of course, has the largest number of refueling sites because that was the site of the NNPC pilot with 12 sites that was already active, and we hope to double that in the next 1 year. So Kaduna has refueling sites. FCT has refueling sites. You have one near NIPCO by the airport, and we have 2 that is going up by FRS, by Bovas. And NIPCO is planning another 4 in FCT. Nasarawa has refueling sites. So you can see today, minimum number of states, I would think off the top of my head, will be about 12 to 14 that already have refueling sites. Conversion centers also, most refueling sites have conversion centers next door because it makes sense. That's the way they create their customers. So for us, it's an active work. Yesterday, we still onboarded 8 new sites. Tomorrow, we can onboard 10. So we're constantly working. And a lot of this is just existing upscale or mid-scale workshops that are upgrading their capacity to do CNG conversions because they see the opportunity in the sector. With just very few amount of money, if you already have a standard workshop, you can set up one. And so most of them are taking advantage of the incentives that government is putting in place for conversion.
Cost of conversion, I think, was it the former Minister of Petroleum Resources states, Timi Presiva, if I can, Of course, we're still within the decade of gas. At that time, I think to convert, to do your car conversion, I think it was costing about 300 or 400,000. How much is it now?
So today it depends on the valve size, type of the car, but it ranges between that 300,000 and 600,000
with inflation. With inflation.
Yeah, with inflation. With dollar
exchange rates.
That's what it depends on the quality of the CNG conversion kit you have. Again, most of the 95% of the cost is the conversion kit, right? So we have, and the price of conversion kit is also reducing on dollar terms globally because more people are converting. So it's been like, the industry has been almost like the solar panel industry. Started very expensive, and of course, as more people are using it, it's reducing in price. So you still do it for between 300 and 600,000 naira today. But our goal is to make sure that, yes, while government will be able to provide some kind of incentives for folks, especially if you're in the mass transit sector, to convert. First thing first, maybe provide a discount. And thereafter, you can also be able to pay back little by little so that upfront cost for you is almost close to zero as possible. You have to remember that if you are using 100,000, let's even say 70,000 naira, if you are using a 100-liter tank today, you save every week. You are going to save 40% of that, which, of course, if you're using 70, let's even say you are using 50,000, right? You are doing a very tidy sum of 15, 20,000 naira saving on 50,000 naira of petrol every week. It will mean that if you're converting for 400,000, it will take you 20 weeks to recover, which is about 5 months. So in 5 months, you recover the cost of your conversion. And after that, you can continue to use your car so long as you use it with all the savings that come with it. So I think from an economic point of view, economic return point of view, it makes sense to convert your vehicle. And the government can support it with financial incentives. The president has just launched the Credit Corporation, and those are the kind of projects and programs we can run through the corporation to ensure we provide to Nigerians the succour they need at the pump.
How about the issue around gas supply?
Yes, gas supply, like any other industry, is a demand and supply issue. We are very confident Nigeria has plenty of gas.
Yes, I know.
We've just not either processed them, distributed them, because the suppliers will tell you that it's not worth it because they don't see the market. So that's why the approach we're taking. Let's remember that this is about the 5th attempt at doing CNG in Nigeria since 1988. And the reason why and we've studied the missteps in the other programs or the attempts at this, is because they've been so focused on the supply or the infrastructure. But the real bit here is about demand. Yeah, how do you stimulate demand? And that's why we made a choice and said, you know what, we need to have a mass conversion program. If I convert 1 million vehicles, even if, say, government, the military, they convert 200,000 vehicles, that's a serious amount of gas volumes that will be taken off. And that means the guy that is investing upstream has a reason to process, to produce, to distribute, to build the infrastructure, to invest in it. It just makes more sense. We worked with the NMPDRA this week to ensure that there's concessionary gas pricing for CNG mobility at the inlet of the pump of the compressor station, and it was approved such that we are the same pricing as the gas-based industries, which is quite a concessionary level comparative to, say, power or commercial use. And that again allows our midstream players to be able to recover their investments faster, and that enables us to also be able to have a competitive CNG industry downstream for transportation.
How about the concerns around safety and standards? Because I also see that comes up regularly. That is one. Then, if assuming that Nigerians really, because since petrol subsidy, because there's still subsidy on petrol, since we've seen the price of petrol still gone up, the last time I bought petrol here, somewhere here in Abuja, 718 naira, one of the filling stations, so Nigerians will turn to an alternative. Yeah. The issue right now is if Nigerians come out en masse, will the supply be there for the demand? That's the second question. The first question is around safety and standards. The third question is around promoting.
That's combo.
Yes, combo.
I need to start writing.
Yes, please write, because I'm looking at my time and I have another interview too.
No problem.
So first question, safety and standards. Yes. The second one is around meeting the demand of Nigerians, assuming many of us say, okay, we want to convert to CNG. The third one is around promoting public education around CNG, because a lot of that will also hinge on public awareness and what have you. Then I think the fourth one would be, is the initiative, I don't know if you guys are looking at this already, if the initiative is working with financial institutions, for example, providing financing options.
Absolutely.
For CNG adoption.
Okay, so that you don't have the fifth question. Yeah. In terms of safety and standards, that's where we started from, because we recognized, the president said it upfront when we were being empaneled as an initiative, that he doesn't want this to be public sector driven. It has to be private. We cannot replace the private sector. We just have to be catalyst. But for the private sector to invest, there needs to be clarity of regulation. That's what has been absent. When I keep telling you that there were 4 other attempts, and this is the 5th. What had been absent was there was no regulation, there was no standards for the industry. So we worked with Standard Organization of Nigeria, starting in December, was to start developing the standards for the industry. And then there were 80 standards that were approved by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment in the month of March, which is now forming the basis for the industries. Now you have about 22 agencies of government releasing operational guidelines around their own aspect. For example, even an agency like FRSC has a role to play in enforcing safety for the sector. And so they are now using those standards that have been developed by SON to now develop the operational guidelines to ensure the safety and standards in the industry. Now, in terms of the intrinsic safety of CNG itself, CNG is very safe. It's actually a safe form of energy. It is not LPG. LPG, it's liquefied petroleum gas. It's from.
But it seems that a lot of people still.
Yeah, there's a confusion. It's not, but CNG is natural gas. Its flashpoint is 250 degrees centigrade. It's not the same flashpoint. Much better than petrol. Your petrol vehicle gets into an accident, it will explode. If CNG gets into an accident, it will never explode. And I use the word never. Why? Because it will dissipate immediately. It escapes into air. It's much lighter than air. 250 degrees flashpoint is inside a bulletproof container. It will roll away and nothing will happen of sort. It will not settle. So that's very important to say. Now, in terms of supply, there will be enough supply. Nigeria wastes about 35% of the gas that we produce today. We are the second largest waster of gas in the world after Russia. The key is for Nigeria to begin to use our gas to improve our own economy as a competitive advantage by using it to drive our own industry. Transportation by itself, even at the most optimum, say with 1 million vehicles, we are demanding 91 million scoff of gas a day. The power sector today in Nigeria uses 750. So I do not think that an additional 91 score for a country producing or wasting 3 BCF in a day is actually much of an additional burden on the country. What we need to do is to stimulate the demand so that, and we also need to make sure that the appropriate fiscal measures for the upstream, which the Special Advisor Energy and the team working with the President is already ensuring, and that will ensure that there's enough gas produced and processed for us to be able to use. You talk about public education and sensitization. Yes, these are work. I think that's 90% of the work of the initiative, aside from, of course, engaging the private sector to stimulate the investment that we need for the sector. For us to achieve 1 million natural gas vehicle, we need $2.5 billion of investment. At most, maybe government will do $500 million, maybe, given the reality of the budget constraint. So we need the private sector, and that's why in addition to public sensitization, your fourth point about financial institutions has been key. We did a public forum for investors forum for CNG in December, and we continue. And since then, we will be able to stimulate about $50 million worth of investment into the CNG sector.
That's investment commitment or investment?
No, investment that is real.
Okay.
Bovas, for example, is investing $50 million in refueling stations across Nigeria. They are opening about 25 of them. We have another $5 billion naira that is being invested by our core partners. We have another $10 million that is being invested by conversion centers by various partners. They are doing it, they are opening it. I told you we had 7 conversion centers in November. Today we have 85. By the end of May, we'll have 100. Each of these conversion centers are being operated, they are being opened and invested in by the private sector partners.
Okay, the question is financial institutions. For example, getting perhaps the banks or even the development institutions to be able to key into Mr. President's.
I hope the banks are listening. Maybe they will finally actually get to do the work of banking. So you were not thinking
about that. That was why I actually asked
No, I'm thinking about it. We are engaging them. We're engaging them, but the reality is that they are not. Yeah, we're engaging them, but the reality is that you know, and I know, that in this economy, I've been in business for 14 years before I got here. I never got a dime from a bank to build my business. And that's the truth for most Nigerian business people.
But if government can actually approach these banks, of course you have a Cardoso now, who is the central bank. Of course, I know he doesn't want to do into all of that. And perhaps the banks are even saddled with the recapitalization guidelines. Yeah, you know, but that's also an avenue whereby Nigerians can have even financing.
Well, we're discussing with the Development Bank of Nigeria already.
Okay.
But again, that's Development Bank.
That's government, yes.
That's Development Bank. Well, not government. Significantly owned by World Bank.
But you know what I mean.
Development, yes, Development Bank.
One cannot go into Development Bank of Nigeria and say, give me money. No. What they normally do, they lend even to MFBs and all of that. Yes.
But again, that would then get the commercial banks engaged. But even more importantly is equity. The first attempt any time we are starting a new industry cannot be debt, right? Because you need to prove the industry properly with equity. Again, wearing my venture capital hat, you must have people who are committed on the equity side to this industry, and we are working with them. I mean, so on the equity side, we have a lot of interest in terms of they were the ones that dominated our investor forum in 2023. And of course, as they come along, they will also be developing smart financing that follows that, which is not just equity, but it's also debt, which can then involve both local and international banks.
Okay, I was just thinking of that because you're working with transport organizations, the RTE, NATO, perhaps NURTW. These are also organizations that can get into structured conversations with financial institutions, and they really help them. And they will actually get return on investment because if they are able to get out this bus, I'm giving you too many ideas when I'm not in your initiative anyway.
You can come for consultancy.
You'll come for consultancy. All right, I think we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you very much. I hope to hear from you because you just told me that there will be a rollout soon in terms of a tour or store.
Yes, there will be a tour of factories. And
so you invite me for that so that we can actually keep up with that. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content.